We will now talk about semantic roles, which are crucial in defining meanings in various sentences because they lead us to know various referents of the actions described by verbs in language. Semantic or thematic roles were introduced in generative grammar somewhere in the middle of 60s or the 70s or the early 70s. They are also known as theta roles, deep cases, semantic cases, or participant roles. In semantic roles, we could say that the reference of the arguments within a sentence actually perform certain roles or said to have performed certain roles, and identifying those roles is actually knowing the semantic roles. These roles also convey us various states which are described by a sentence. And let's now have a look at some popular semantic roles described by various semanticists. Agent may be known as the initiator of an action, and an initiator who does it with his volition, with his own choice. He is not compelled by anyone else to do it. Especially when it is conveyed in the language. If you just look at the examples in front of you, Rashid cooked the meat. The fox jumped out of the window. In both these examples, you see the highlighted words Rashid and the fox. They are doing the action described in these sentences with their own choice. They were not compelled by anyone, apparently at least. So we could say that they are the agents in these actions. Patients are those who actually receive an action, and as a result of that action, they undergo certain change in state. For example, the sun melt the ice, or John cut some wood. We could see that when the ice is melted, it gets into another physical entity. It is no more the ice. There is a change in the state of the thing which has undergone an action. And then we could also see when we cut the wood from its source, it is no more the same wood. So there is definitely a change in the state of the wood and the ice in both of these examples. Theme is the entity which undergo a change of location as a result of an action. For example, we could say the book is in the library, or Ali passed the ball. When ball is passed, it is no more at the place where it used to be. So there is a change of location in this case. But if we look at the first example, the book is in the library, it only tells the location of something, location of the book. So when a sentence informs us about the location of something, then it is also considered to be the theme. So the book in this example may also be considered as the theme of this sentence. Experiencer is another semantic role which implies an entity which is aware of the action or state being described by the verb, but which is not in control of that action, similar to agent. For example, Kamran heard the door shut and Naim saw the smoke. In both these examples, you could see the Kamran and Naim are not in control of the actions they are experiencing. So they could be considered the experiencers in these examples. A beneficiary is the one for whose benefit a certain action is performed. For example, he brought me a pen. So we could say that I am the beneficiary. Some examples in front of you are: the clerk filled the form for his grandmother. So the grandmother is the beneficiary here. The manager signed a check for the visitor. So the visitor is beneficiary because he is benefiting from the action. We have instrument is and is a tool through which we perform certain action. He wrote a letter with the pen. Pen is the instrument. Ali opened the lock with the key, and the key is the instrument. Location is something in which something takes place or is situated. And we could see the examples. The baby was hiding behind the curtains. So behind the curtains is the location. Goal is involved in those sentences or with the verbs who convey a change of location. Because the goal is the location through which the movement is being done, either literally or metaphorically. We could see the examples. The driver handed his license to the policeman. Here the movement is physical. And in the next sentence you could see he told the joke to his friends. So joke is not being transferred or moved physically, rather it's a metaphorical movement. And then we have the source is the entity from which something moves, either literally or metaphorically. And we can see the examples there. He returned from Russia. So the movement is physical. Then we got the idea from a TV program. But this movement is metaphorical because idea does not move on a certain physical facility. Rather, it moves metaphorically. Stimulus is the entity which is causing certain effect, especially a psychological effect on the experiencer. For example, the noise of the horn frightened the passengers. So noise of the horn is causing a psychological impact on the passengers. So this could be considered as the stimulus. Similarly, the last performer entertained the guest. The last performer is causing an emotional, psychological impact on the people. So they could be, he or she could be called the stimulus. Recipient is quite similar to goal, but it consists or is involved in those actions which describe the change of possession. Wherever there would be a change of possession from one person to another, and the person towards whom the change would occur, or a thing would move, possession would move, we would consider him the recipient. In these examples, he sold me his house or this house. He left this fortune to the church. Me and to the church are both could be considered as the recipients.